Today in episode 6, we have another installment of the Visionary Sip where we sit down and chat with Ebonie S. Dukes. She is the epitome of Black girl magic. As an entrepreneur, she wears several hats, whether you call her producer, whether you call her a level 3 certified sommelier, whether you call her the co-owner of BlacOak Wine Club. What you won't call her is someone who stands still. Get your sip ready, get your eat ready, and let's get into the Visionary Sip with our guest, Ebonie S. Dukes. Hello, sippers. Get ready for the Set podcast where we sip, eat, talk, the ultimate blend of flavors and conversations. I'm Gina, your host, culinary enthusiast, and spirited conversationalist. Each episode will explore diverse topics, share laughs, and savor the moment with special guests. Sip on insights, eat up knowledge, and join the conversation. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Sip, Eat, Talk Podcast. Subscribe now for a journey that's as delicious as it is insightful. Let's sip, eat, and talk together. Cheers. Hello, sippers. Welcome to the Set podcast where we sip, eat, talk. I'm your host, Gina. That's right. I called you a sipper. Whether you are sipping on your favorite wine, cocktail, mocktail, energy drink, coffee, or tea, you are a sipper. You are a part of our community, and we are glad to have you. The audio podcast can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon Music. You can also find us on YouTube at Sip, Eat, Talk Podcast, and follow us on our social media platforms on Instagram and TikTok at Sip, Eat, Talk Podcast. Well, this is one of my favorite segments when I let you know what I am eating and sipping on for the episode. But as always, I want to know, what are you guys sipping and eating on for the episode? Please post your photos on Instagram and tag us at Sip Eat Talk Podcast so I can see what you are sipping and eating on for the episode and get some new ideas from you and share with our other sippers. I am obsessed with a new chutney that I've been introduced to. It is Kitchens of India. It is a spice mango chutney that has a tangy, spicy relish in it. It is super amazing. I'm pairing it today with a simple Ritz cracker, but you have to try it. You can order online at Amazon. I will drop a link. And yeah, I know I need a quick bite before we start, right? I'm doing a crunch in the mic so you can hear it while I'm doing a shimmy at the same time. Mm, 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 mm. Delicious. Absolutely delicious. Why I always have to get the happy dance on? I was sneaking today. Yes. Today, I am celebrating Black Girl Magic all the way around. I had the opportunity to visit Cyrenity Sips, which is a winery, Black-owned female winery in Hartboro, Pennsylvania. The owner, Shakia, I had the opportunity to meet her and went up there with some friends to celebrate Valentine's Day. And she has a wine that is called Gina Lenee. Gina Lenee, you heard me. That's right. A wine named Gina. So today I am sipping on the Gina Lenee from Cyrenity Sips. I will drop the link for you in the description. I understand wine culture. Come on. I had to drink out of my champagne class today because this is Gina drinking the Gina. Yes. But let's not tell Ebonie. It'll be our little secret. We won't share that with anyone. Whatever you're sipping on, let's toast it up for another installment of the Visionary Sip with our guest, Ebonie S. Dukes. Cheers. Hello, Ebonie. Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate you.
Hello. And hello to all your listeners.
Tell me, are you a Philly girl, born and raised?
Born and raised, North Philly girl.
Tell us a little bit about young Ebonie growing up in Philadelphia.
So I claim North Philadelphia because that's where my parents were from. I actually grew up in the East Oak Lane area of the city. So I was a Catholic school girl.
Okay.
I went to, I started at St. Elizabeth, went to St. Joseph. And then after leaving Catholic school, I went to schools in Roxborough, went to Shawmont.
Okay.
I then went to Girls High. I'm a Girls High girl.
All right.
Class 243.
All right.
And yeah, after that, I kind of went into real estate and doing mortgages. I never went to a formal college.
Okay.
So all of my information that I have is typically from trade schools or some type of secondary education that is not traditional.
Okay. I don't know if you mind sharing your age, but I'm 48, and so I'm a Gen Xer.
First millennial.
I knew it. I
am 1981. Yes, I am the
1981.
very first year. Yes, so I will be 43 this year.
Tell me, where did your passion for wine first blossom?
So my passion for wine, that story's a little interesting. So I grew up, remember I said I always claim North Philadelphia.
Okay.
So I grew up, my mom was from Johnson Homes Projects. My father was from right around the corner on what we call Columbia Avenue, now known as CCB Moore.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandmother actually ran a speakeasy out of the project.
Okay.
We had
Oh,
been
so you
doing
just come from a family of hustlers. Okay. Now I'm learning. Now I'm
that
learning.
makes sense, right? So my grandmother literally had been running speakeasy my entire life. Like I knew nothing other than that. I guess I didn't know what it was when I
Mm-hmm.
first, when I was growing up, but I definitely became aware that I was in a family full of hustlers,
Mm-hmm.
speakeasy owners. It was really born from seeing people hustle in that space.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that alcohol wasn't a stranger to my life. My father owned a bar at one
Okay.
point. Um, I just I've always been around it. Um,
Okay.
yeah, like my family just didn't, we weren't shy against alcohol. Now a lot of people in my family
Mm-hmm.
don't drink at all, but the ones that do, it's always been, super present at every barbecue. And
Okay.
the one thing that was really important about how I viewed alcohol was that I saw a lot of drunk adults when I was young, right?
Okay.
And as a result of seeing so many drunk adults, I realized very young that I never wanted to be the drunk auntie.
Okay.
I always knew that when I wanted people to have fun, indulge, but it needed
Mm-hmm.
to be done differently. It needed to be done in a different way. So I knew I wasn't going to have a speakeasy per se where people just stumbling out drunk in the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew roads would definitely lead somewhere around there, but
Okay.
it would be done differently. It would look different.
You know what I want to point out here, because I think sometimes the more I'm having conversations with friends and family members as we get older, I think I came from an environment. My mother is one of 10, and my dad was one of 14. So I had a really large family and then extended family, and so, and not having a lot of people who went to college, I think what happened is a lot of our older family members were entrepreneurs, but
Yes.
they didn't look at it and celebrate it as being an entrepreneur. They looked
Hmm.
at it as to a means to an end because of lack of education or the ability to get a job
Absolutely.
somewhere or having to create this path of their own. And somewhere along the way, in pushing us to go to school and do things differently, and I appreciate it because they didn't want us to have the level of difficulty that they
They didn't want
think
us to go through the struggle.
that they
They
encountered.
didn't.
Right. But we lost that spirit of entrepreneurship, right? Because
Yeah, no.
that is a lot of what drove that generation. So
Hmm.
many of them were business owners, whether it was just, they fix somebody's shoes, they were the fruit man, the
Yeah,
speakeasy, they tailored your clothes,
yeah,
whatever it was. And so I really want to
yeah.
celebrate. We come from a very rich history of entrepreneurs. And I feel like now we're in a space where I think we're really getting that and realizing that more globally, right? And coming around and doing that. So I want to make sure our listeners understand that, like, we come from this. We come from this.
We come from this. I really honestly, like, I don't remember it, especially on my father's side of the family, who I'm definitely, close to. We're always close to the daddy side.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't remember anyone on that side of his family, any of his siblings, any of my grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember a 9 to 5 job. I just
Oh,
don't.
wow.
I don't them
Crazy.
having it,
Mm-hmm.
and so that what you're saying, that spirit of entrepreneurship, like it definitely, I know they all wanted different for us because
Right.
I grew up thinking college wasn't an option the other way. Like I remember the day I was in my aunt and uncle's house and somebody was like, "Are you going to go to college?" And I was like, "Wait, I got an option?" Like I could not go. I
Okay.
got to go. He had instilled it so much in us. Like, no, y'all
Mm-hmm.
going. And then when I
Mhm.
was like, wait, and I had a conversation later on that night with my parents, like, do I get a choice? Like,
Right.
am I able to not go? And
Mhm.
it would technically you could choose.
I don't know if we want to talk about it, but yeah, you can. Right, right,
Said you going, but technically
right.
you could choose.
Mhm.
Oh, okay, okay. All right. I got options out here in these streets.
Right.
But yeah, no, it definitely like that and just trying to that hustler spirit, that entrepreneurial spirit, it's not something that can like I feel like can be taught. Definitely not at an older age. It's something
Mhm.
that you have to watch. You have to watch people go through that struggle and choose that life for yourself because it is not for the faint at heart. It is
Right.
something, where you go to 9 to 5 and I've worked in 9 to 5 capacity a lot.
Mhm. Me
Um
too.
but you go into that office, you have your office politics, but you have the ability to turn it off at 5 o'clock, right?
Cannot do that in
Entrepreneurship
entrepreneurship.
does not does
Right.
not come off. I routinely stay awake at night, um, or am awakened by the thoughts of my mind racing about something I forgot to do, should have done, need to do, a new idea that needs to be sparked off. My
Mhm.
brain is racing because if I don't kill it, I don't eat. So a lot of times people don't
Mhm.
understand that paycheck isn't going to come unless I make it. Like I have to find those avenues
Mhm.
to money. So if I want the
Right.
lifestyle that is important to me, if I want to vacation and take trips and eat at fancy
Yeah.
restaurants, I have to kill every bit of that food that I'm going to eat.
Right. Because I think even in the age of social media where everybody wants to peek in and look, they share so much of all this stuff that looks glamorous or wonderful, or the fruits of your labor, or to somebody's credit when they put something together and it's done well, and it might look like that it's easy, but you don't see what goes on behind the scenes, and that I'm eating well in August and July, but September was not the same thing. You just have to go with that
Oh,
up and down, and how you for me, and you get a client, you lose a client, you get three, and you might lose three more, and you got to find four more. So it's just going through that journey, and it looks cute on the outside, but like you said, it's a lot of work. And so I would like to touch on that for a second when you say keeping your mind up. I've known this for years. I don't sleep very well, and so I self-diagnosed myself with insomnia, but in
mhm.
September was officially diagnosed with insomnia. And one of the things I like talk through or work through with my therapist is quieting like my mind. I'm really good now about making sure that I love to have a good time, that I have self-care, but I also sacrifice on that too, because I'll go out and do something. Like you said, I'll come home and then I'll stay up and I'll work till 3 o'clock in the
Yeah,
morning to
every
make
every
sure
day, every
something
day.
gets done. So it's like I give and take in different places. And so I would like to know, and trying to find the balance and self-care and taking personal time for yourself and for the family.
Absolutely. It's definitely about balance. I have the most amazing family and support team. I cannot say it enough.
Love it.
They are so wonderful. Um, they are dog sitters. They keep me grounded on so many levels and they come to my aid all the time. But quieting your mind is super important. And it really honestly is why I'm so passionate about wine. It's it had become a
Yeah.
tool for me in order to decompress at the end of the night, for
Hmm.
my mind to be signaled that, hey, we are winding down. We can pick this back up tomorrow. Was a glass of red wine. It's like,
Time
okay,
to relax.
relax. Let's take a moment for
Hmm.
ourselves. And that's literally
Right.
how I became obsessed with it, because I was like, wait, there's so many healing benefits of it. It helps to quiet your mind. It's heart healthy. It boosts your metabolism. All of these things.
Black Oak. Tell us about Black Oak.
So, pandemic hit, and um, like a lot of people, we all experienced that the onset of the Black Lives Matter movement. We all went through it. We all dealt with it, And part of the problem, or part of the things that happened with the Black Lives Matter movement, was that we started to realize it made way more sense to support our own Black owned businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were like, okay, we need to pour money back into our communities so that we can make significant changes. And I went down a rabbit hole, like most people, trying to figure out who are these Black owned businesses I should support. I was trying to replace everything, including batteries in my house. I was like,
Okay.
where is the Black
Right.
owned toilet paper? I need it all.
No, seriously, I mean, I had my friends cracking up. It was like I took this stance. I was not watching anything or reading anything
Oh
if
my
it wasn't
God.
a Black person on it, a Black person
Yes.
cast, a Black author. I mean, so I absolutely, I know what you're saying.
You understand that, right? So then I, self evaluation. I was like, okay, my impact comes from my dollars. So what am
Hmm.
I spending the most money on? And at the time, it was wine. So self evaluation. I had previous to this, I had been working with my partner Lamar Covert. We have been working on opening a social club space.
Okay.
And we were already talking about, this social club space becoming a place where we could highlight Black owned brands. Like that's what we wanted to do. We had
Okay.
identified a location, it was under construction, pandemic hit, everything is on the back burner.
Hmm.
So when I started thinking about, my relationship to wine, I went down a rabbit hole again. And I was like, who are the Black owned wine brands? And I expected to find a few dozen, just full transparency. I was like, I'll find 20, 30 Black owned wine brands. I'll support them exclusively. All will be well.
Okay.
And then I got down this rabbit hole and realized, oh no, there are hundreds. And we just don't know who they are. There
Hey.
was every time I went to locate a list of who these Black owned brands were to make sure that I was supporting them, I would find someone's list that had like a top 20,
Hmm.
top 10 Black owned brands to support. So I was like, oh, that just won't do.
Right.
So I was like, if you want change, you become the change you want to see, right?
Change
So
agents. Yeah.
so that's kind of what happened and how Black Oak was born. It was born because I couldn't find a complete list, and I
Hmm.
felt like if I couldn't find it, then most people couldn't find it. So I wanted to
Right.
become a hub where people could identify these lesser known Black owned brands and
Hmm.
support them.
How did the name birth?
So the name was birthed. Me and Amir, Lamar already tells this story so funny because he's always like, "Yeah, they called me and everything was already done. Like my name was on paperwork and everything." And what happened is me and Amir literally sat at my dining room table and we were like, okay, come on, let's come up with a name so we can put this paperwork in. And I was like, well, everything is Black right now, so it's Black something. And then we were thinking about all of the different things that were important to us and that were in our lives.
Hmm.
Oak comes from, one of the places that we love to go in the summer is we love to vacation in Martha's Vineyard. We feel like our people are there. And we feel like the consumer we were trying to reach is either there or going to get there soon.
Okay.
And one of the neighborhood that is most known for Black culture in Martha's Vineyard is called Oaks Bluff,
Oh,
and that's
stuff.
where the oak come from.
Hmm.
When the last years ago I was vacationing in Oaks Bluff, and it was the first time I was in a liquor store there, and the first time I had saw a Black owned winemaker was in that store. I saw a
Oh,
picture of the owner
wow.
of Theopolis.
Okay.
Theopolis is a Black owned wine brand, and I had saw a picture of her in the store, and I was like, "Wait, this wine is from Black people? Wait!" And I was just so intrigued, and it made it a full circle thing. I'm like, okay, the oak ties in with the barrels, but it also is the Oaks Bluff, and then it's also me personally, my
Hmm.
experience in Oaks Bluff, in realizing that Black people made wine at that very moment. So yeah, that's where the name kind of came from.
Decided to move forward and taking BlacOak from a vision to a reality. So explain to me what's happening in 2020 when you decide to just drop the gauntlet on that.
I was trying to reinvent myself, after a couple of hard cries,
Mm-hmm.
because change is uncomfortable. It's like having the hiccups, you're growing, so it is not comfortable. So after a couple hard cries, I was like, okay, time to get busy. What are we doing here? I was like, okay, the social club can't happen now.
Mm-hmm.
What can happen? What can you do if we never open back up outside again? Um, and my other partner, Amir Blackman, he suggested that we try to figure out how to do like a subscription service,
Mm-hmm.
where we were getting these black owned brands to consumers through like one of the monthly subscription boxes. And I was like, oh, I love that. I love that. So in an effort to start doing that, that's kind of like, all right, time to do some paperwork. Now it's a real thing. We started, doing our research and trying to figure out how to make this subscription box. What we realized is, obviously we come up against all of the different licensing and things that have to take place in order for something like that to happen. And we realized the subscription box is going to be a longer play. Like it was going to take a little bit of time to get there. So we're like, what can we do today? And I was like, okay, we can make a database. We can make a list of all these brands. And then we can introduce them on a platform. We can put them on Instagram all of the time. We can, we can do tastings and show people what they taste like and, or teach people what they taste like. We started going to identify these brands so we could just start purchasing the wines from them. And we got over there, we were like, oh, wait, there's a difference in price point between what the general consumer is used to paying for wine, which is on average $10 to $15 a bottle, and what black owned wines cost. Black owned wines tend to start at about the $25 mark
They
and
really
go up to about $50 a bottle. And because of that, we realized that we were going to have a struggle or a barrier trying to get general consumers to drink black owned wines because you're going to have to explain this price difference to me.
okay.
So when trying to figure that part out, we were like, okay, how do we get general consumers to spend more money on wine? And we realized that bridge was education. We were like, okay, if they knew how to identify a fine wine, they'd be more inclined to purchase one. And a great deal of our brands are fine wines. So if in the United States, there are over 7,000 vineyards. Black people own less than 20 of them. What that means to us is that if I own a vineyard, I have to make wine that is produced on that vineyard because I have cost all year to maintain that vineyard. I have farmers, I have all types of people that are helping me maintain these grapes are our income. This is how we break even. This is how we make revenue. When you don't own a vineyard, you then have the luxury of sourcing your grapes from other places and from some of the blessed places in the world. You could go to California and get your grapes. You can go to France. You can go to Italy. You can go to other places to make sure that you're getting high quality products.
Right.
So because of that, we do tend to have really good wine. And we needed to be able to teach general consumers how to discern the difference between the two. How do you know you are drinking commercially produced, cheap wine, not great quality, versus if you are drinking something of very high quality? And so because we wanted to do that, we started journeying on our own to become people who could provide that education. So that's when we entered school. All four of the owners of BlacOak, myself, Lamar Covert, Amir Blackman, and Kevin Dukes, we are all sommeliers.
Did y'all
We
all
have
do sommelier training together? Was that idea that just birthed from the vision? Was it something separate? How did that
it.
work?
So it was. We did not all do our journey together.
Okay.
it was all birthed from the vision though.
Okay.
So how it began is I knew that that was going to be a part of it, right? Eventually education was going to come into play. And I had another wine, I call her my wine sis. She had started her journey and she was about to take classes to just learn more. Not sommelier classes, but just I want to learn some more. The wine school in Philadelphia is offering some classes. You should probably take them with me.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. And then I
You
just
love
started
having friends
doing a little
like
bit more.
that. Friends that just you just on for the ride. Let's go and learn something new together.
I absolutely love it. These people are amazing.
Yeah.
So they are so essential to like your lifestyle. If you don't got friends like that, go get you some.
I'm telling you. Ebony, I really wanna shout you out right here because when you were noting about the 7,000 wineries in the country and only 20 being black, I want to point out in just my own research, and I mean, I think in the world, not in the US, aren't black sommeliers like 10% or less? Yeah.
There, so sommelier. So a sommelier, for those listeners who may not be familiar with the term, is a wine expert or wine steward. We are people who are put on this earth to educate others about wine. And there are 4 levels to sommeliers. There is level one somm, level 2, level 3, and then the 4th level is called the master level.
Okay.
I myself am a level 3 sommelier. I'm this level right before master level. The master level, there are only 269 people who hold that title in the world. And of that 269, only 33 of them are people of color, and there are no people of color that are female that hold that title. That title is very, very hard to get. And it's not something that a lot of people go after because it's like I said, it's hard to get, and it also doesn't come with a lot of perks.
That's right.
Sommeliers making that on average, they make about $60,000 to $80,000 a year if they're working in the restaurant industry. It's nothing really to write home about. It's more so that wasn't the motivation, is what I'll say. Our motivation was because we knew we could do more with it. We knew that in that space, being understanding and being able to educate others would be a source of empowerment for our community. Turn something that is traditionally seen as elitist and unapproachable
Mhm.
into something that more people would be able to embrace and network over
Okay.
and grow over. So that was our motivation. But I to answer your initial question, I started the journey myself. I started it online because that was the only thing accessible to me at the time. It is not a quick journey. It takes quite a bit of time to get to the level that I did obtain. And it was definitely harder online because in school you have the ability to see things alongside of other things and do comparisons and everything. And literally every wine I had to taste, I had to go purchase myself. And I spent thousands of dollars just on purchasing wines in order to complete the courses. Um, and I didn't have the pleasure of being able to study alongside of people. So my journey was a little different than a lot of people's because for those reasons. Um, Thankfully, Lamar and Amir were close by my side, but they weren't in school at the time, so they kind of got a little bit of a little cheat code because by the time they entered school, they had taken some of the classes with me, so it wasn't super foreign to them when they entered into their own classes. So they completed the coursework. Lamar went up to level 3. He's actually still in school. He's the wine nerd of us all. Like it's
I
not me, guys. It's him. It's totally him. He is super engulfed in being a wine nerd. Um, and then Amir, and then Kevin. They both did level 1, but they both have other aspirations. So Lamar's level 3. Amir is level 1, but he is actually um, trying to enroll to become a cognac sommelier. So he'll be going over to France for a bit and being able to learn how cognac is produced and learn all of the ins and outs of that and be an expert on that.
It's wonderful. It's
And Kevin is also a level 1 wine sommelier, but he also is, his aspirations are in whiskey, bourbon, and scotch. So he's doing he's studying to be a sommelier in all of those as well. So we all are bringing different things to the table, different passions, and infusing them and being able to offer them as approachable classes,
right.
quick classes for people who just want to learn a little bit more and just want to feel a little bit more empowered, want to be able to go into spaces where people are talking about these things intelligently and just not feel intimidated. And that's what BlacOak's about.
Explain, how did Roxborough become the home for BlacOak Wine Club?
This is also another interesting serendipitous moment. When I left my parents' home at age 16, I moved to Roxborough. My address at the time was 6168, and we are now located at 6139. I can see my old apartment from the window of BlacOak. So, um, the building was originally owned by my uncle, the building that we are in, and he sold it. It sat empty for years. The whole time it was empty. I wasn't thinking about no wine bar or tasting room or winery or anything like that. Never crossed my mind. And then we started BlacOak, and a family friend came to me and was like, "Hey, I got a lease on this building." Not even realizing that it's the same building.
Wow.
And he's like, "I got a lease on this building, and I know you're doing your thing with the wine. I want you to come check it out." And the back room of it wasn't set up to do anything. It was just like a back room they had used for storage. And I was like, I kind of could see something in here. And yeah, that's kind of where it was birthed. It was like, okay, we can have a classroom. We can create a space where we can actually teach people, because at that point we were doing virtual classes, because that's all you do in a pandemic. It was virtual classes. So we were doing virtual wine tastings for all types of different groups. And we were just sitting down and just kind of like honing in on our skills of teaching, because I'm not a teacher. Amir's the only one with a teaching background. So I was just like, okay, we got to kind of fine tune this. And we started doing those virtual classes. But when that opportunity presented itself and was like, you want to, kind of open a space, an actual space. And it was risky because we still in a pandemic. Who coming
Right.
outside? We took that leap. The space set for I want to say every bit of 8 months before we knew what we were going to do with it. Like, I'm not a designer. I don't know how to do construction. I had no real knowledge of what to do with the space. And I ran into an old friend, just a happenstance type of thing. She had asked me to come check out this new space that she had. So I went down to check out the space, and it was beautiful. And I was like, "Who created this?" And she was like, "I did." And I said, like, "No, who did the construction?" She said, "I
Right.
did." And I was like, "Oh, can I show you something?" And I showed her, I took her up to the space and I showed it to her, and she was like, "Oh, yeah, I got ideas." And I said, "Send me an invoice." And she literally, I remember it was my 40th birthday was coming up. I was on my way to my big birthday trip, and this was August of 2020. I got the invoice from her, and she was like, "Okay, I'll see you when you get back." And when I came back, the space was transformed. We were literally just waiting for furniture, and I was like,
Oh,
"So,
Ebonie, seriously, do you ever really just take this in? I mean, for anybody who is listening,
bruh,
it was a pandemic. We all
it
know
was a
what was happening in August of 2020, and you not only
girl."
not knowing how things would come back around. And you embarked on this venture, invested money into this, did it all just believing, knowing that it's going. I just think that is so powerful. It just speaks to you have to take it. But I think what's key here is that not only were you doing that in the pandemic and pivoting, there was something else you also tapped into and another vision that came to life during the pandemic. Our listeners should know, even though you have the BlacOak brand or a certified sommelier, that is not the only thing that you do. So tell our listeners a little bit about the other side of your professional life.
Some years ago, I had heard from somewhere, they were like, hey, if you're going to be successful, then you need multiple streams of income. I think we all heard that at some point, right? So that was like music to my ears, because I've always considered myself to be somebody that's not a monolith, someone that is very, very much so has different areas of my brain that I need to tap into.
I agree.
And yeah, so I started, exploring all of those different areas. I started making it my business to always feed into my passion. I am a film producer. So I enjoy, years ago, if people are familiar with my name, they may have associated it with the brand My New Philly. My New Philly was a brand here in Philadelphia area that we did short form video content to help make sure we highlighted the people, places, and things that made Philadelphia a great place to live, work, and play. And we did that for quite a number of years. We started in 2015. We were Emmy nominated platform. And then I was the executive producer and president of that platform. And the pandemic hit. And the pandemic just shifted a lot of things for a lot of people. But for me, it was life changing, right?
I can imagine.
So there wasn't an avenue, like there weren't events, there weren't people to interview. We couldn't be in people's faces to create the type of content we have been creating for a long time. So we had to pivot, like a lot of people. And we pivoted My New Philly by kind of getting back to our roots and what we initially had set out to do. My New Philly had over the years become an incubator for talent. We had found videographers, we had found photographers, we had found hosts, we had found all of these different people who wanted to be in the film industry and didn't really have a portal into it. And we gave them an opportunity through our platform to do so. But one of the things that was always a goal in the back of the mind of our creator, which was Kyrie Terrell, was that he always wanted to be into movies. He wanted to be a filmmaker. And a lot of the people who had came on board also shared that ambition. So during the pandemic, we used that time to become filmmakers. So we are on film number 6.
Congratulations. I'm so proud.
As Focus Studios. So Focus Studios, we have a few projects that are out right now that people can check out on Tubi or Amazon Prime, which are Work Bay, Work Bay 2, and Money Lovers. We also have 3 upcoming projects that will be released in upcoming months of 2024, which will be we have a documentary on the rise and fall of the Philadelphia nightlife scene called Social Scenes. And we also have another movie called Our Girlfriend, which explores polyamory. And we have our final movie of the year, which probably will be the final one for this year, will be Christmas Bay, which is a part of that Work Bay franchise and our Bay universe that we are creating, which has an amazing cast, including Hit Me and Holler from the television show Wilding Out. We have Dwayne Finley, who played Young Slim in the movie The Wood. We just have such a great, amazing cast. The Little G, who is the lead singer from the group Silk from back in the day. Like, it's just an amazing ensemble cast. So definitely look forward to that. That'll be our Black Friday of 20.
I love it. Like, my friend has this expression that she uses and says, "You remind me of onion." I keep peeling back layers and learning more.
And I'll tell you another thing the pandemic did. It for me personally, it showed me my potential, right? So it wasn't something I thought was going to happen in the pandemic, but because I had nothing but my thoughts to sit alone with. I had nothing but um reinventing myself to deal with. I realized what I could do. I sat
Right.
down and made goals that I was able to uniquely focus on.
I had a friend that was telling me when the pandemic hit, she's an educator, and she was like, I felt lost. She's like, I felt lost because I realized from my career, I pretty much had stayed stagnant. I had not learned anything new. I had not learned new tech. She said it was so hard for me to transition with virtual learning because I didn't have anything but an email address. And it was like I did
Mm,
not take advantage and grow with the tech. So it's like no matter what you do, I think you have to embrace, right, the technology to keep growing. Yeah.
I don't think you can get stuck in your mindset in this technology era that we're in. You don't have the luxury because tomorrow something completely different will be going on. And if you don't have the ability to change and evolve with it, you literally will get left behind. So
Mm-hmm.
you have no choice, in my opinion, but to embrace it because otherwise you'll
Mm-hmm.
just become a dinosaur. I look at people like Patty Jackson, who's on WDAS here in Philadelphia. We've seen a lot of her counterparts age out, if there's no
Yeah.
other
But
way of
Patty is
saying it, age
thriving.
out of that radio. Patty ain't go nowhere, and the reason Patty ain't
Mm-hmm.
go nowhere is because Patty has embraced technology. Patty
And
has
evolved.
a TikTok. She has her
Mm-hmm.
Instagram. She has her podcast. She
She
has
has her chat with the
conversations with millennials.
millennials. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she has her chance
Mm-hmm.
with the millennials. Those people even though she's probably a boomer, though the ability to change and navigate technology has really kept her relevant and kept her in the know and giving her the platforms to evolve. And I think
Right.
if you don't embrace those things, then one, you're doing yourself a disservice because the reason that they do continue to grow the way they are growing is because they work to some degree, right?
Right.
They're giving you an opportunity to reach audiences you would never have reached before. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you could, an independent filmmaker back in the day, make an independent film. And if it doesn't get Oscar acclaim or, some kind of win some kind of festival or something like that, the vast majority of people would never know that film exists because how is it we got to wait for a DVD to get in your hands or a VHS?
Yeah.
It
Right.
never even, it's not even possible. But then with platforms like Freevee and Tubi and Amazon
Mm-hmm.
Prime now, and especially now that more people are streaming than ever before, now
I
the
know.
independent filmmaker has an opportunity to make actual income for themselves, to make an actual career versus it being a passion or a hobby before. Now you can actually
Right.
find the money to finance your dreams through independent filmmaking, which that all is a testimony to the wonderful advantages of technology.
So I'm glad that you pointed that out.
Pandemic did a lot for
It changed
did
the
a lot of things.
landscape. I
It
think,
changed our
yeah, I think it
world.
changed the landscape because I think also in you being home and not being able to go out and socialize and do other things, you really had to tap into what you who you
You
are,
do.
right? And
Yeah.
who you want to be in. It was a really great time for self-reflection. And
Mm-hmm.
if this thing went tomorrow, like is this where I'm at? Is this where I want to be? I worked in college access and success for years, and so during the pandemic, like we're home, I had to, even though we did things virtually, it changed the landscape. And I look back now and I feel like Sip Eat Talk was really birthed during that time,
Mm-hmm.
unbeknownst to me, because I really had never used social media like in that way to kind of share my life or talk or have conversations. And because of the work that I was doing, I was interviewing and having discussions or leading discussions with people now. And I was just kind of in my space. I was in my space
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, this is definitely a comfortable space. I like it. I enjoy it. And I do
Mm-hmm.
feel like the pandemic, when I look back now, I feel like it definitely birthed that. It let me know what I'm capable of and what
Right.
I could do.
And that's
Yeah.
what the pandemic did for me. We didn't know where we was paying for things from. We didn't know what was going to happen. And we bust out and took some leaps and people responded to it. And people were like, Oh yeah, I like that. Oh yeah, like we opened our Instagram account. I put together a little like blitz campaign, right? I was like, I'm not gonna just open this Instagram account without like some some people see it, some put some eyes on it. So I reached out to all these different micro influencers, people in the travel space, people in the wine space, all of these different people, um, people who had followings that were like the customers I wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent them a little like news clipping about what we were and that we were about to launch. And some of them wanted money, some of them wanted like $5, somebody wanted $15, but I got them all to post it on the same day. They all posted the same day, and within hours, we went from 0 people knowing about our account to over 5,000 followers. So then we kept going. I did it again and again until we had grew the account to the point where people respected that it had credibility, and then we used that to be able to promote the brands we were working with.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were seeing an influx of people purchasing and buying and using our codes to buy products from their page, and it was a win-win. Like everybody was eating, b
But
everybody
I
was
have to
eating.
tell you, Ebony, shout out to Dr. Christina Fia Harris, because
Yes,
how I learned about you all through her page.
Dr. Fia, baby.
Yes, she is one of I just admire the work that she does as a bi black influencer.
I love her. Her
Mm-hmm.
energy is great. She comes in and she does such a thorough and honest review
Yeah.
of the businesses she works with.
Mm-hmm.
And she has brought so much light to our pages. Her Moby Outside,
Moby, that's
so
another one.
many.
Yes.
Yeah, they're so essential to the culture, because if you are, one of the things we get a lot of in our tasting room is we get a lot of transplants. We get a lot of people who didn't grow up in Philly, who didn't live in Philly, who have no idea how to navigate this space.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Afia and Mo are great because they give those transplants a blueprint of how to navigate the social scene here in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
They show them that no, you don't have to be like outside and too mixy. You could do things that you really like to do that will enrich and empower your life. And you can meet some cool people along the way doing it. And
Absolutely.
I honestly, I genuinely love and respect those women, because, and women like yourself, like you guys y'all killing it, because if y'all don't put eyes on the things that we do, then it almost goes like we go unseen. Like, it's really important to be seen, not just by your customers, but by people you respect and by
Agree.
people that you appreciate their opinion. It's important to be seen by y'all, because sometimes y'all don't know. We be depleted. Us
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs be like, whew.
I'm not telling anybody to send you an influx of requests, but I want to shout you out because it is just taking the leap of faith to do something. And I have to tell you, I started the podcast during a very hard time for my business as a consultant. I was in a really tough season. And in my mind, this is the last thing I need to be thinking about right now, because you got other things to be focused on. But I wanted to do it. And this is like the heart of what I do. I love to, it's nothing like I'm a wine girl too. And it's nothing like a good sip, eat, and chat just with your friends, strangers, whatever. I love conversation.
Girl, we could do this all day.
I'm telling you, I just want to celebrate you because in a time where people, I love that you shared your journey about just and not even having followers or what you're doing, but not even having so many episodes in the bank or this big name. And I sent you a nice, humble email asking, and you did not even hesitate. I mean, there was no run around, there was
Yes.
no send me this or let me see this, or like it was just an immediate yes.
You
So
don't need all that pomp and circumstance,
I just
girl.
want to celebrate you. I appreciate you so much. I do. I
I
appreciate.
appreciate you. And I want your listeners to know one last thing that's like super important. You mentioned it earlier. We all have slow seasons as entrepreneurs. It is inevitable. I don't know one entrepreneur that don't have it. There are ups and downs, there are ebbs and flows. That is what you are building yourself for. It seems like, I ain't gonna be able to do this. I ain't gonna be able to hold out. You have to wait one extra day. That is the difference between us and a lot of other people. It's because we've managed to survive those extra few days for this thing to turn around. And if you are someone who is thinking about entrepreneurship, if you are someone that feels stuck, who is going through a slow season, just remember there is just one more day left.
I'm holding on to that, Ebonie. One more day left. Whether someone is well versed or a complete novice, tell them how they can connect and begin their journey with BlacOak Wine Club.
So BlacOak is cool because you are able to start at any level. So on a very, I just want to window shop, and I just want to peek in every once in a while. Go to our Instagram page, peek in over there. You can also sign up for our subscription service, which you do not have to pay for a membership. You can just drop your email address, and we'll keep you updated on all of our upcoming events. We'll send you some information on wine knowledge that you probably didn't know, because we do have a newsletter that goes out. So if you go that way, super free, and you can stay engaged. But we do have paid subscription services. Our first level is like $5 a month, and that will get you our weekly newsletter. It'll also get you discounts to upcoming events, and it will give you discount codes on our wine partners so that you can purchase some of these Black-owned wine brands with a little discount. And then we have our main subscription, which is $15 a month. But that unlocks our travel packages and some private events that we do with just our Noble members, which are like, we go and visit some other wineries together. We, go to private tasting events for new wine brands that are breaking out, things like that. So if you're like really ready to indulge, that would be the one for you. But ultimately, if you are interested in this wine space, if you would like to become a wine snob with the rest of us, all you have to do is just tap in on Instagram, tap in on our website, and just come to an event. We have our next thing coming up, is we have our Winter Wine Festival. We have a wine festival twice a year. We have a winter and a summer wine festival. Our winter wine festival is March 9th this year. Our summer will be right around the first or second week of August, but they are a great time, and it's a great opportunity to meet a lot of these Black-owned wine brands. So they come out, they do tastings so that you know how to support them. You have already tasted the wine. It is a good time, and it's always a vibe. So
they're gonna feel it. They're gonna feel it.
They're gonna feel it. Listen, when we all together and we all doing well and we all thriving, it always is a fun, great energy. And people call me the energy police all the time because that is all I care about is great energy. And if you come out to any of our events, you can guarantee, if nothing else, it will be that.
I love it. I appreciate you, Ebonie. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Well, there you have it, sippers. Another installment of the Visionary Sip. Ebonie was a fun guest, just a wealth of knowledge. She continues to just push through and just reinvent herself. I hope that you all have carried away some wonderful gems and insights from today that will inspire you along your journey. I hope that encourages you to try new things, to remain open to change, and to know despite what is going on around you and the circumstances, you can do the things that you want to do. And I think Ebonie is a shining example of that. Remember, life is too short for bad vibes and bad drinks. So keep sipping, keep chatting, and always remember life is a journey, but it's better with a sip and a chat. Until next time, cheers. Thank you, sippers, for joining the S.E.T podcast where we sip, eat, talk. If you've enjoyed our flavorful conversations, don't miss out on future episodes. Subscribe now and follow us on Instagram, at YouTube, at Sip, Eat, Talk Podcast. Let's continue to sip, eat, and talk together. Until next time, cheers.